This is the 892 Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. This week's Arukh HaShulchan Yomi is sponsored for Schus Vatzlach and Shiduchim. Here it's Hashem, it should be effective. If you like to sponsor coming Shir Arukh HaShulchan, please contact directly, be greatly appreciated. Today we're doing Siman Tov Kuf Beit Vav. Again, Chaf to Chaf Hey. Chaf, you need to start the Roch Bomer, Bagmar, the Mishtar Shir Kosher. If the shofar is cracked widthwise, it is kosher. If the sheaf is left, if not, it's possible. The entire width in its circumference. Ayin Sham. Varosha Turkas with the Regam Baruba Shek Puzzle. Russian wrote that even if it's half or most of the if it's puzzle, we made the Gam Mechza puzzle. So also half would be puzzle. The Yiv Shav something of a Mashu. Because you can't be precise in defining what's rov and what's a mute. Because the Visa Torah, Mechza Rov, in Rov Havil Chumra, also by Nisa Derisa, we say Mechza, it's like Rovim was precisely Mechza, when it's Issa Torah, if it's a Chumra. By Rea Fil Kula, Yeshim Sover, the Hava Karov, even the Kula, by Shchita, by half of the corner, there is an opinion that it is like Rov, which is in Chulin. Okay, we don't pass away. Chumra calls so in having Karov. The Chumra, however, everybody holds that it's like a Rov. Again, like he said, it's not possible to be precise. Gam Kantor Adachalol here to has to be cracked to the cavity. And so even if it doesn't impede the Tkiya. The mute or kosher, if it's a minority of the heck of circumference, it's kosher altogether, it's kosher completely. Roshim Tikkun without fixing. Rochvo, its width, low, mistake kulo, ID chosakat Kiya Kivar Ko. That it's its width, this week when you blow it, it's not going to completely split on account of the strength of your blowing, as well as its length. I guess there's something about in physics about this, that the sound splits lengthwise and not widthwise. I'm not sure I understand Rashi that the entire thing is cracked. The entire thing is cracked. It's cracked then to the cavity, so it seems to be cracked off. I guess it's still attached a little bit here and there in places. He says if test. If it's cracked in circumference, a minority, it's kosher. Bruba apostle, the majority is puzzle. Ain't getting sharm aesthetic. It's not beef unless from the crack towards the mouth, it remains sheer tkiya. Dainu arba gadolim, which is 4 thumbs. If that much is left, kosher, it's kosher. Even if it does change the sound of the kiyah. Some say it's that's enough, even if it's not adjacent to the mouth. In other words, there's a crack between the mouth hole and that place where there that shear exists. Which says Shas can rely on this swara. So it's not a chatzkes because mimino ain't a chaitzitz. Maybe that's what he says. Let's see. Time pasha. The game is started today. Since there is enough of ketia left, ain't no klala mosoros. We don't need whatever is extra. Really, there is machshirim ben ishtar filushlo tzapiv. Those are machshirim. It's not immediately next to the mouth hole. We don't come about shloyakim. He holds that it can't impede the kilos. In other words, according to first opinion, when it's not, according to first opinion, it requires that being adjacent to the mouth hole, what happens later on doesn't concern, even changes the sound. But it's not next to the mouth hole, it's got to retain the sound. It's okay, because if not, since he's blowing in the upper part, for upper part away from his mouth, and that's not kederech kiyoso. So therefore, it would be a problem. After he wrote, even impede the guy got the body being shloyakim said here. This according to this opinion can't impede it. Achika think that Rishoina, but the primary opinion is the first one that whatever's left has to be towards the mouth hole. Shkei das ropas, it's most closely in the hole. V'dasha godel modedim rachvo shel ha godel ben so the measure of the thumb you measure in the thickness of the thumb in its middle. I haven't got very thin fingers, but I wish the rest of my body was thin too. But it's around where the first knuckle is. Where the knuckle is. Only one knuckle in the thumb. Okay. The Mishnah Berurah says, Shatzin says, Prima Gane molds. That is, same thing. Okay, shocker. There's a hole in the shofar, a hole in the cavity, veloceric, not a not a crack. The Rama goes up. The Rambam says if you sealed it with something which is not its mean, it's possible. If you use its own, another piece of horn in the shtar rubo sholim, if most of it is whole, below kavim shenistumus atkia, they don't impede the tkia. Kosher, it's kosher and sham. Right? They ain't matir el aide shloshet tonight. So it's only with by three conditions. One is shetayam stima bimino dafka. It's got to be glued together with horn. If it's not with the horn, it's possible. I feel even a minority. Even it doesn't impede the tkia. But Sharuba, the second one is Sharuba Yishar Kosher Kayam. Most of it has to be intact. Nike possible Chogadli. Most of it is pierced, is a hold. It's possible no matter what. Three, Vishloyak Fu Nikavim, that's Kia. It's closed hole should not impede the Kia. I was shocked when they impede, but Chogadli possible, it's possible no matter what. Perish Ma'akev at Kia. So Kia should have given this definition a little bit earlier in the Simon, but better late than never. What does it mean to impede the Kia? The sound is weaker than it was before the hole. And but if the that's only if the again what happens after the horn is sealed. Sealed the horn, shofar sealed with the horn. If the sound changed before you could stop it up, we don't care. As long, in other words, leaving the hole might be a mila. Below mile it doesn't make it better or worse. The question is how it sounds after you close the hole. Zelda Sarif, Perikimo, and this is the opinion of the Rif and the Goinim. Chav Kima, Vadasa, Toisves, Farosh, Nisasa Mina Mishtaya Boharov, if you closed it with horn, and majority remained intact. I feel Maka with Kivna, it doesn't be the Kirshu. The sound is not like it originally was kosher. It's still kosher. If you use something other than horn to seal it, if it impedes the Kirshu, it doesn't go back to the sound was when it was complete. Initially, puzzle, it's possible even the majority remains intact. If you call it them, puzzle. And even if the sound hasn't changed from when the hole was there, still puzzle. Since it didn't go back to what it was, kodem and a kiva before it was hold. But if it didn't impede the kiva, that the sound after it's sealed is like the sound before it was hold. Even though you used something else to close it up. Plastic, kosher. Since the majority it was intact, didn't get a hole. Shami is a dimlo, so it's more cloud kosher. Shami says if you didn't close the door, it's kosher. Even though its sound changed when it had the hole, kol shem b'shofar. Those sounds are bound by shofar. You don't have to close it up, and it's better not to close it up. This can't blow without sealing it up. Anything you can blow without closing the hole, don't close the hole. Is even true if there's not a shear of shofar between where the hole is and the mouthpiece. Mishmur says, Achronim say most of the shofar was hold. Even though there's a shear of kia, which is intact, it's possible, because rubo kikulo. Okay, I don't think the Arukh HaShulchan seems to buy that svara. Rabbeinu Harama, Kasar said that she is shofar acha en litkob. If there's another shofar, shouldn't use this one. Some people say they shouldn't blow in blow through a shofar which has a hole. Though he doesn't bring a source for this. The Mishnah says we should be concerned with this opinion. Even though she of kia remains above towards the mouthpiece, where there's no hole at all, but most of it has holes. It's if it has a hole. Yeah, even as in right. That's however only says where the hole can be sensed by the kia, that the sound is damaged by the hole and changes. Where the sound is still clear, There's no a hole like this is not significant, and even according to you can use the lechatchila. So Arukh HaShulchan is astonished at the Ramah. Pella, me who should be called a chok Shami. Who can argue with Shami if our Shas doesn't argue? Shami says it's okay. Rifa Ramam Gamkein right. Rifa Ramam is not no evidence. Shema Kosuraka Dinim Sheba Gemara. It's only about what the Gemara says. They didn't write anything different. They didn't write anything about a hole being no good. Period. Really, the time Mishum Dal Pi Rok Shanekab Godol Aim Bev Shil Ko Boblos Tima. So Arukh HaShulchan suggests that the Ramah holds that it's a big hole you can't blow without stopping up. The air is coming out of the hole. You won't be able to hear the sound. If it's a small hole, it's not going to impede the even the Ramah would agree allowed to blow it. It's compelled. They had to mention this. A big hole is not going to work. Small hole is not a problem. Like the Rif and like the Rambam that even with its own, when it's closing it with horn, it still has to have the same sound. There's no other shofar. Yesh Yismach al Teis Rosh Mevarech Olav. You rely on this Rosh to make a bracha. But it says it's nine iron shom because that seems to be the b'seis of Paskins. Chavdal dibik shivrei shofar zames that you glue together pieces of shofars. But some shofar, even them a shofar. Apostle the shofar chodim rachman of lo shnayim shlosh shofars. One shofar Hashem said, not two or three. Even though when you glue things together, it always comes like one. Such as the bathroom film where it's considered to be one bias when you put glue pieces of lead together. I mean, nevertheless, Torah should pass the shofars. The Torah pass the two shofars must even they're glued together. Okay, if not, you couldn't be able to blow it without gluing together. Can't say the Torah was referring to two shofars at the same time. The Shalamaki can't say that. First, it's not possible. If the low one after the other, it's obviously mutar. People always do that. They switch shofars in the middle. Furthermore, the Zem Tzorchak Krav Yodanim Zem is about Taisim. So I said to blow two shofars at the same time. It's about Taisim. That's what I'm saying. Not the Shnei Loving Mishum about Taisim. I'm always they take two loving here about Taisim, and certainly you take two shofars. Where they Bishnei shofars. That's a rabbit sham, but that's what shown at the aim about Taisim. It's not about Taisim. Unless you take another species, lulav, and something else, not a lulav. So I show him the MS Anis or Bishnei shofars. It's got to be okay to take two shofars like this. So either it's Laskaz Tautosif or it's Mutter, and this two shtefos is gluing them together. Vafir Rabbi Yossi the Amar Reish Per Gimel. Im Rabbi Yossi, this is in brackets. Sorry. Vafir Rabbi Yossi the Amar Reish Per Gimel came in the Mechaber Yadari Chadhu, since they're glued together, they're one. Lomar Zel Bapari, he didn't say by glue. He said it by a cow horn. The Kaime Gilde Giddy, where it's in layers. The Mitodasa Chadu. It's one unit. It just grows in a very interesting way in layers. So therefore, it's not the same thing as gluing together pieces of shofars. L'chein also shofar al pi dibuk shnei chatichos echel ma'al echel mata. You can make a shofar to glue together two pieces, one on top and one below. But film yesh shir shofar b'zeh shel side peep. There is a shir shofar in the part next to his mouth. And even a big shofar and dibik, shofar acher, if you glued a little bit of another shofar, lamalo, which is by the mouthpiece. So lamata, or below where the sound comes out, a shofar pasan, there's a kosim. Shofar is pasan, that's kosim. Shofar chadamarach manav lo shnayim shlosha shofars. One, not two or three. Benim hosi by shofar koshu, we add the shofar to the length of the shofar, any amount, bein b'mino, ben shlomino, whether it's horn or some other substance, pasul. The shlom min pshita pasul. It's another substance, obviously pasul. Come on, belula, like by lulav, you add the other min. Even according to the Ravid, it's considered to be baal taisin. But English, I can ask you, can echmani stima beneka b'mino? In that case, how can you seal a hole with horn, even with horn? Have a shnei shofars, it makes it two shofars. Ain't okay. That's not true. Tasim rak b'mali chiston neka b'eins b'ged hosofa. You're filling a hole, a lack. You're not adding. What's adding is you have a shofar, you add on. Here you're trying to bring it back to its original state if you're trying to fix a hole. There are some raya there, raya, shari das fits a rusty kol gimel, im shlo lo mino mutter kshen mishana kol. Instead of it's even if it's not the shofar, it's mutter as long as it doesn't change the sound. Varei min acheb shitosh aser. So another species, another thing, that horn is awesome. El awesome keban du l'stoma nekev. Well, actually, it's like the inflection on that was wrong. Varaya she'das at places so shivko gimel im shlo mino mutter kshen mishana kol. If it's Shlomino, it's mutter. If it doesn't change the sound, very mean acheb shita the osir. It's certainly be osir to extend the length of the shofar with another mean. So why it's over there okay? El the osam ulisto the ulisto came ulisto manekeb. Since it's to close a hole, not to extend its length, it's it's nullified by the actual shofar. Vein al stima shem ivnei atzmokla. And the closing of the hole doesn't have that shame of being a separate module of the shofar.